Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to be doing a book review of the movie Skeeter. Um, so Skeeter was actually a movie in I think it was 1993. It was released. It's a B horror movie about mutant or giant mutant mosquitoes, and so they made a comic book out of it, a graphic novel, and so I decided to read it because I think I watched Skeeter as a kid, but I don't remember anything from it. But yeah, I'll give you a non-spoiler summary. Um, Pretty much mutant mosquitoes go out and start killing people, and a group of survivors have to stop them. So that's essentially the entire book. I enjoyed the characters. They weren't overly annoying, and they did develop through the book and grow to care about each other by the end. So that was nice. One of the most important aspects of the books of a book for me is the characters. Because if I don't like the characters, I'm not going to want to read the book. So, I like the characters. The plot was pretty generic for a monster book, but it didn't do anything different. And I'm not exactly surprised. I wasn't expecting much, but I did have a hard time with the art in the book because the art of the creatures, they were so detailed, um, but they end up all blurring together because they're all red. All the creatures were like completely red, and so it became just one big blob for me. I couldn't really, because they did try to draw more smaller features, but everything the red overtook everything, so it just became one big blob for me. So that was hard for me in the book. And at the end, there's a fire, and there's so much orange and red that it started to blend together for me. So it was hard, kind of deciphering what was happening as well. So that's one of the disappointments in the book. Um, but yeah, that was my non-spoiler review. Kind of short, but it wasn't that deep. Um, so going to the plot. So there is a research facility, researching something. I mean, that are giant mutant mosquitoes. So, but they have like this nest, that I guess they don't know why it's there. And anyways, mosquitoes ends up coming out of it and attacking the scientists, who for some reason had no protection inside the room with the mosquitoes. And he ends up dying. The security dude there refuses to open the door to save him and calls a team instead. The hazmat team determines everything is fine, so they allow the body to be transported by an idiot, without any further protection whatsoever. So we all know what happens. Um, Turns out the mosquitoes were incubating in the corpse after the mosquitoes infected the dude, and they end up escaping the body and taking out the driver. Um, I was kind of wondering, did the mosquitoes just, when they were in the room, did the mosquitoes just completely disappear into the body? Or I'm assuming maybe like there were adult mosquitoes who injected the larvae into the body, and then they either killed or contained adult mosquitoes in the room, thinking that they'd gotten them all. Um, even if they did think that they'd gotten all the adults, why did they not take samples of the body, from the body, to determine whether that was mixed with something? Because these are apparently organisms that are dangerous and unpredictable. So did they not think to take samples to see if, something, they've done something to the body? Anyways, people are finding animals that have been killed. They found some dead squirrels, which made I was kind of confused as to why they thought that was weird that they were finding some dead squirrels, because you routinely see smaller animals, dead, because other things killed them. I don't think the book said that they died in any suspicious way, so I'm not sure why it was they were so confused. I would understand if it was like a dog or a cow because they are bigger and it would be harder for them to kill. So suddenly having all these dead, cows and stuff like that would start raising in question. But anyways, that's a small, nitpick, I guess. But anyways, mosquitoes end up attacking the farmer and his dog. The two exterminators, I believe they're exterminators, come out to the farm because I'm assuming the farmer called them. And they go into the barn and they find a giant ass mosquito. So they're able to get to the radio to call the sheriff for help, and then they escape into the house with the help of the dog. The dog is kind of attacking the creatures. Um, the sheriff shows up and helps them fight off the bugs. Um, there ends up being someone in the bathroom, so the sheriff opens the door to reveal the mutant farmer, and then she just immediately shuts it. And it was kind of funny just because it's one of those scenes where you open up the door and see it, and so you immediately shut it and like brace yourself against the door. Just it was kind of funny, one of the small like humorous moments in the comic book. So then the guard ends up showing up to save them and give them lowdown on what happened. I'm assuming the guard had like a police scanner to know where to go, to come to the farm. The bugs apparently came from outer space on one of the space missions, and so that's how they came down to Earth. The question's, if they knew they were from outer space, why weren't they more careful with everything? Because they seem to be very lax in pretty much precautions when it came to these space bugs. But considering what we've gone through today, I'm actually not that surprised. It's actually pretty realistic, to be honest, to what would actually happen. So they end up heading back to the lab after they had to kill a bunch of these creatures. They attacked like this festival and people got infected, and so they had to kill the infected, and they ended up heading back to the lab um, to try to figure out a way to kill them. So, but in the meantime, back at the lab, the head of the lab ends up releasing the queen of the Skeeters, because I guess he was either infected or he was an alien. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. I'm wondering if he's infected, is that why everything seems to be so conveniently like work in Skeeter's favor? Is that why was he the one pulling the strings to allow the bugs to escape? Um, so, while they were like, finding the bugs in the festival, the pothead, I forgot to mention one of the characters was a pothead, but yeah, he ends up getting bitten. So they get back to the lab, and the guard takes samples from the pothead to determine why he hasn't been infected. And lo and behold, he was too high for the bugs to breathe in his body. Guess they took a page out of X-Files with that one, huh? So the guard finds the doctor, has mutated and kills him. And of course, the facility has conveniently been doing research on a super strain of marijuana, so they have an entire greenhouse full of plants. And they decide to lure the bugs into the warehouse and set the plants on fire to kill them all. Queen appears, and they have that showdown. They eventually kill her, but not before the pothead gets grievously wounded. So he decides he wants to sacrifice himself to make sure all the bugs get burned. And so he, lures all of them into the warehouse and pretty much, is there while it burns. And so they changed the name of the town to honor the pothead. So So that was, I guess, an indicator that they did care for him. But then, as per usual, there has to be a reveal at the end that the dog is still alive and has mutated. So why did they not think of the dog after everything that happened? Um, did they not think that he probably gotten beaten during the entire, everything that happened? I don't think the guard knew about the dog. I don't think the sheriff knew about the dog. I think it was only the two guys, the two exterminators that knew about the dog. But if they didn't, the one surviving exterminator remember that, oh wait, there's a dog that had probably gotten infected, so maybe we should go back and make sure everything was good. I don't know if they killed the farmer. I'm assuming they killed the farmer whenever the guard came and saved them. Um, but anyways, if it was me, I would have gone back to the farm just to be sure everything had, there was nothing left. I would retrace every one of my steps to make sure nothing. I would have probably have gone like searching everywhere just to be sure that we'd gotten all these little fuckers. So, um, but it's a horror, a horror comic, so it's not exactly that surprising. And of course, people at the festival, did they kill all the infected? Did none of the bugs escape to infect others? It all seems to be like conveniently tied up, except for the dog, of course. So, yeah, it's kind of a lot of plot holes, I guess. But overall, I did enjoy the book fairly well. I mean, I finished it, which is accomplishment for me. I have a hard time finishing books, so. So yeah, this book, it's actually not out yet. It comes out in the April. So if you're wanting to read this book, and if you're a horror fan, if you like mutated animals, um, I would go on and read it because I thought it was pretty enjoyable while I was reading it. So, but yeah, that was my book review of Skeeter. So if you did like this book review, just give this video a like, subscribe to get notification for all the different videos I'll be doing. You guys have a nice night. Stay safe out there. I'll talk to you later.